So we're back now just to continue on from topic three. We ran slightly over time this morning with all the great guest speakers and lecturers from Griffith. So Mark has kindly come back to answer some of the questions that were outstanding at the end of the session. So welcome, Mark. How are things?
Good.
Good.
Thank you, Anthony.
Good. Glad to hear. Thanks again for your time. We'll go straight into the questions if that's okay. So Andy from Celtic Photography. His comment was, there's some fantastic insights again this morning. One question for Mark. As a sole trader, it's sometimes hard to identify which business capabilities apply to me. Does Mark have any tips for identifying them, or would you measure them all and focus on the ones that you're better at?
Thank you, Anthony. I wouldn't measure them all. What I would do is I would be selective. So had a look at during the presentation is a good starting point, as we mentioned. So you can adapt this to your own needs. So firstly, what I would do is I ask myself, what are the critical areas that I need to address to meet my business goals? So with these areas in mind, you could select the relevant capabilities from the list to include in your survey, your audit, or evaluation, whichever term you want to use. So that's going to be dependent upon the type of business that you're in, whether it's B2B or B2C, business to business or business to consumer. So in some cases, for example, customer connectivity might be important. So how you connect and how often you connect, and how you survey your customers to seek insights into how they see your company and your services and products and so on, and does that match up with what your perceptions of what you're offering them?
And Mark, sorry for interrupting there, but just on the
Yeah.
surveys, have you any tools or tips just in terms of the surveys?
Well, just I'm not a technology person as such, so there's plenty of tools out there in terms of surveys. SurveyMonkey or Google have their version of. So really, what you're looking for is just generally adapting the traditional tools of surveys or questionnaires or even interviews. You could interview using a medium such as this to seek those insights.
Super. That's great. Okay, thanks for that. Second question here is from Ryan Howard. And the question is there a toolkit to measure capabilities? And for a small business, is this something that should be led by the owner manager or using external expertise?
Well, thank you for the question, Ryan. It's I guess for the small business, it's about resources are stretched, more so now than ever. So I think this is something that business owners can do for themselves. And there's no such off-the-shelf toolkit to allow you to do this. This is something that you need to empower yourself to do. And that's what the generic list that we had a look at in the presentation might facilitate and might help you to do. So again, it's really identifying the most important capabilities that are in that list that are relevant to you. And as I mentioned, you're not looking to try and become capable in all of those areas. You want to be selective. And the idea is really to try and become capable in maybe 2 or 3 of those areas. So, there's different ways to go about, seeking information when you're conducting an audit and you're trying to find out about your actual capabilities in those selected areas, and what would be desired to enable you to achieve your objectives. The way to do that will be to look at the capabilities and then go out and do some research. And we're back to the tools. We're back to surveys, questionnaires, and so on, and interviews. And ultimately, it is a difficult task in itself. That it's we're talking about trying to uncover both your employees or yourself, if you're a single, a sole trader, your own opinions and perceptions and how they match up with your customers. So you're looking for alignment in there. So when you do develop a survey or a questionnaire to gather insights, the information, the feedback that you get does need to be analyzed, and it is challenging because it's not quantifiable in the sense that you're dealing with numbers and you can just put them into a nice little chart or a graphic representation of how things look. Really what you're doing is you're trying to interpret somebody's opinions or perceptions. So the best way to do that will be to read and reread the respondents' feedback and try and seek out themes that might emerge from that. And those themes might prompt you to take further action. It may enlighten you about what you're good at and what you're not so good at. And it's not just about trying to find out what things do you need to work on and what capabilities do you want to develop, and then that prompts you to take action in terms of where you're going to focus your attention going forward.
Super. Okay, thanks for that. And one final question, and it's from Dave. And Dave wants to know, from a business capabilities perspective, what are your thoughts, re the weighting of shared mindset, strategic unity and talent, etc., with the increased remote working going forward?
Okay, well, this question is about remote working and the relationship between remote working and the things we spoke about in the presentation, as in the capabilities. Well, I would suggest, or I would argue, that the capabilities and the requirement or the need to sustain and develop the capabilities remains unchanged. Business, whether it's done remotely or not, has remained unchanged. It's about creating value for customers. So we still need to tackle those challenges. We're just doing it in a different way. But working, if you're looking at it from a perspective of your employees working remotely and how you can achieve and enhance and develop these capabilities, yes, you can continue to do so. And it's arguable that some of the tools that are out there can enhance that, can actually help with that. So not being in a face-to-face environment doesn't necessarily take away from your ability to address these things. So we have this great collaborative software out there like Microsoft Teams that allows your workers to work with each other in teams and in projects and so on. And I think what we're going to discover is increased productivity. There were concerns about remote working and people skiving and not really doing what they need to be doing and so on. But I think what's going to emerge from what we're learning now is that people are productive and work does get done. And it does heighten accountability as well, which was one of the capabilities that we spoke about before. So if you're working in collaborative software, everybody has a role and progress can be monitored and tracked much more easily, and the whole thing can be coordinated in a good way using these tools.
Super. Lovely. Well, Mark, that's it for the questions. Thanks very much for everything today and for taking the time to answer these questions again. I'm sure everyone's found it beneficial. And I suppose we leave it there and we'll chat to you soon. Thanks to everyone for watching. Take care.
Thank you.